High above Narvik, Norway, in the late spring of 1999, sunlight touched the valleys, painting them in gentle strokes of warmth. But the peaks, the towering sentinels of the north, remained locked in ice. And beneath the profound, almost sacred silence, danger waited, patient and cold. It was here, in this majestic and unforgiving landscape, that a story unfolded that would defy the very laws of life and death. A group of friends, all skilled skiers, were carving their way down a familiar slope. Among them was Anna Bagenholm, a 29-year-old radiologist, full of life, enjoying the thrill of the descent. But in the mountains, control is an illusion. In an instant, she lost her edge. The snow gave way with a sickening crack, and the world tilted. Anna plunged headfirst into a frozen stream, a hidden artery of icy water flowing just beneath the surface. Her skis, tangled and awkward, jammed against the solid ice above, trapping her face down. Imagine the shock, the sudden, brutal immersion. The world above vanished, replaced by a dark, muffled rush of water. No screams could penetrate the frozen barrier. By a sheer miracle, Anna's head found a tiny pocket of air trapped between the water and the ice. It was just enough. In that terrifying darkness, instinct took over. She slowed her breathing, conserving every molecule of oxygen, clinging to a thread of life. Above, her friends realized she was gone. Panic set in. They saw the hole in the ice, heard the faint sound of running water, and understood the horror. They clawed at the ice with their bare hands, their fingers bleeding, their efforts futile against 8 inches of frozen armor. Their desperate voices cracked, echoing across the empty, indifferent mountains. Minutes stretched into an eternity. 7 minutes passed before they could even call for help. The first rescue team arrived, armed with shovels, trying to dig her out, but the ice was too thick. A second team came with heavier equipment. The sound of saws and the whir of helicopter blades finally cut through the frozen valley, a symphony of desperation. But they couldn't risk breaking the ice directly above her. The only way was to cut a hole downstream and let the current do the work. For 80 long, agonizing minutes, they worked, racing against a clock that had seemingly already run out. When they finally pulled her from the water, she was lifeless. Her body temperature had plummeted to 13.7 degrees Celsius, the lowest ever recorded in a victim of accidental hypothermia. By every known medical law, she should have been dead. Her heart had stopped. She wasn't breathing. But the doctors at the hospital refused to give up. They held onto a single, powerful principle: you're not dead until you're warm and dead. For 9 grueling hours, a team of over 100 doctors and nurses fought for her. They hooked her up to a machine that slowly warmed her blood, 1 degree at a time, circulating it back into her frozen body. They massaged her, they waited, they hoped. And then, a flicker. A heartbeat. Against all odds, Anna Bagenholm came back. She had been clinically dead for over 2 hours, yet her brain was miraculously unharmed. The extreme cold that had stopped her heart had also become her savior, slowing her metabolism by 90%, preserving her cells and organs in a state of suspended animation. Today, she is a practicing radiologist, a living, breathing testament to human resilience. Her story is a paradox. Sometimes, the cold kills. But sometimes, it saves. From the frozen silence of Norway, we travel across the globe to the scorching soil of Texas. A different kind of silence, a different kind of desperation. Here, another life hung in the balance, not from ice, but from a dark, narrow descent into the earth. October 14, 1987. Midland, Texas. It was a perfectly ordinary afternoon. 18-month-old Jessica McClure was playing in her aunt's backyard with other children. Her mother, Sissy, turned away for just a moment. When she turned back, the world had changed. The yard was quiet, too quiet. Sissy called her daughter's name. No answer. Then, a faint sound. A cry, small and muffled, coming from the ground itself. Jessica had vanished into an abandoned well, a relic of a past boom, its opening barely 20 centimeters wide. She had fallen nearly 7 meters, becoming wedged in the narrow, dark shaft. Panic turned into a frantic rescue effort. Paramedics, firefighters, and police swarmed the small backyard. The first challenge was simply to know if she was okay. They lowered an oxygen hose and a microphone down the dark hole. And then, they heard it. The faint sounds of a child, sometimes crying, sometimes singing rhymes. She was alive. The community gathered, a silent vigil of neighbors and strangers, their faces etched with worry. Soon, the local news arrived, then the national networks. Television cameras set up, broadcasting live, 24 hours a day. Suddenly, this small backyard in Texas became the center of the world's attention. America, and soon the globe, held its breath for baby Jessica. The rescue was a monumental challenge. They couldn't pull her straight up. The well was too narrow and her position too precarious. The only option was to drill a parallel shaft, wider and deeper, and then cut a horizontal tunnel across to reach her. Engineers and oil field workers, local heroes with expertise in drilling through the tough Texas rock, volunteered immediately. The drilling began. But the rock, a form of solid limestone harder than granite, fought back. The drill bit wore out. Progress was painstakingly slow. The sound of drilling became the heartbeat of the rescue, a constant, grinding noise that filled the air day and night. Hours turned into a full day. Then too. Jessica had been trapped for over 24 hours. Rescuers kept talking to her, their voices echoing down the shaft, trying to keep her conscious, trying to keep her spirit up. They sent down water and what little food they could. The nation watched, mesmerized and terrified. People were glued to their televisions, workplaces fell silent, and schools paused lessons. Every small update was a national event. Every setback felt like a personal blow. The stress on the rescuers was immense. They worked in shifts, battling exhaustion, dehydration, and the psychological weight of a child's life in their hands. The drilling of the vertical shaft took over 45 agonizing hours. Then came the even more delicate task, cutting the horizontal tunnel. They used a high-pressure water jet, a technology typically used for cutting steel, to carve through the final meter of rock. It was precise, dangerous work in a cramped and stable space. One wrong move could cause a collapse. Finally, after 58.5 hours, they broke through. Paramedic Robert O'Donnell squeezed through the narrow tunnel. He could see her. He carefully worked to free her small body, wrapping her in a blanket. Then, the slow, careful ascent began. The crowd, which had swelled to thousands, fell into a hushed silence. And then, he emerged into the light, a tiny, dirt-covered bundle in his arms. The silence shattered. A wave of cheers, tears, and overwhelming relief washed over the backyard and across the entire country. Baby Jessica was alive. She was dehydrated and her foot was injured from its awkward position, but she had survived nearly 3 days trapped in the dark. It was a moment of collective triumph, a testament to what a community and indeed a nation can do when united by a single desperate hope. The stories of Anna and Jessica, though worlds apart, echo the same profound truth. In our most desperate moments, when we are pushed beyond every conceivable limit, the human spirit's will to survive, and our capacity to help one another, can be the most powerful forces on earth. But not all stories end in hope. Some leave only questions, where some miraculously return to life. Others vanish without explanation. Los Angeles, 2013. At the now infamous Cecil Hotel, a wave of complaints began to surface. Guests, one after another, reported an unsettling problem with the water. It tasted strange, they said. It had a foul, almost sweetish odor. For some, it even ran dark, a murky brown color flowing from the taps and shower heads. Something was terribly wrong, but no one could have guessed just how disturbing the truth would be. On February 19th, maintenance worker Santiago Lopez was dispatched to investigate the hotel's water pressure issues and the growing chorus of complaints. His task led him to the roof, where 4 large, cylindrical water tanks stood against the Los Angeles skyline. He checked each one, finding nothing amiss until he reached the last. After climbing a ladder to peer inside, he made a gruesome discovery. Floating in the murky water was the decomposing body of a young woman. It was 21-year-old Canadian student, Elisa Lam. She had been reported missing 3 weeks earlier. For days, perhaps weeks, the hotel's guests and staff had unknowingly consumed the contaminated water. They had been drinking it, bathing in it, brushing their teeth with it, all while Elisa's body lay silently decaying just meters above their heads. The horrifying realization sent a shockwave through the hotel and the city. The investigation immediately turned to the hotel's surveillance cameras, hoping to piece together Elisa's final hours. The last known footage of her alive became an internet sensation, fueling endless speculation and debate. The video, captured by an elevator camera, is deeply unsettling. In it, Elisa is seen acting erratically. She enters the elevator and presses a series of buttons, but the doors fail to close. She peers out into the hallway, then quickly steps back inside, as if hiding from someone. She darts in and out of the elevator car, her movements agitated. At one point, she stands just outside, her hands gesturing wildly as if she is speaking to, or arguing with, an unseen presence. Finally, she wanders off screen, and the elevator doors close for the first time. She is never seen alive again. The Los Angeles County Coroner's Office eventually ruled her death an accident, with bipolar disorder listed as a significant contributing factor. A toxicology report found traces of her prescribed antidepressants, suggesting she may not have been taking her full dosage, which could have triggered a psychotic episode. The official theory proposed that, in a state of confusion, she climbed onto the roof, entered the water tank herself, and was unable to get out, ultimately drowning. But this explanation left many deeply unsatisfied. Skeptics raised critical questions. The water tank lids were incredibly heavy. How could a woman of her small stature have lifted one on her own and then closed it from the inside? If she had fallen in and struggled, why did no one hear her calls for help? And how did she even gain access to the locked, alarm-protected roof in the first place? The Cecil Hotel, already notorious for its dark history of suicides, murders, and housing serial killers, added another haunting mystery to its legacy. Elisa Lam's case endures as one of the most chilling and widely debated unsolved stories of our time. From a crowded, haunted hotel in Los Angeles, we travel across the Pacific to a quiet, unassuming home in a suburb of Kasuya, Japan. Here, another secret waited in the shadows. Hidden in plain sight, in the spring of 2008, a 57-year-old man, living alone, started noticing strange things happening in his kitchen. Food was disappearing from his refrigerator. It began subtly, almost forgettably. A carton of milk he thought he'd finished, a snack he couldn't find. He brushed it off as simple absent-mindedness. But the pattern grew more frequent and more undeniable. He knew, with certainty, that he wasn't eating the food that was vanishing. The quiet unease turned to suspicion. He started to wonder if he was losing his mind, or if something far stranger was at play. Determined to find an answer, he decided to take matters into his own hands and installed a network of security cameras inside his home, linked directly to his mobile phone. He didn't have to wait long. One day, while he was out, his phone buzzed with an alert. Motion detected inside his house. He opened the live feed and watched. His blood running cold. A shadow, a human figure, was moving through his kitchen. He was certain he had locked every door and window before he left. There was no sign of a break-in, yet someone was inside. He immediately called the police. Explaining the bizarre situation, officers arrived and surrounded the house. They entered cautiously, finding everything eerily normal. The doors were still sealed, the windows shut tight, but the homeowner was insistent. Someone was in his home. The police began a meticulous search, checking every room, every corner, every possible hiding place. They found nothing. It seemed as though the men had imagined it all. Then, as they were about to conclude the search, they decided to check one last spot, a small, built-in closet in one of the rooms. An officer slid the door open. At first, it looked empty. But then, they looked up. Curled silently in the top compartment, a space normally used for storing bedding, lay a woman. She was 58-year-old Tatsuko Horikawa. She was completely still, having made no sound as the police searched the house just below her. For over a year, she had been living there, a ghost in the machine of this man's daily life. Police found a thin mattress, bottles of water, and her few belongings neatly arranged in the tiny space. She confessed that she had nowhere else to go and had slipped into the house when the owner left it unlocked one day. From then on, she lived a life of stealth, only emerging from the closet to use the bathroom and get food when he was away, always returning to her hiding place before he came home. Authorities charged her with trespassing. The true horror of the story wasn't her malicious intent, but the sheer, unnerving fact of it. Someone could share your most private space, breathe the same air, live silently beside you, and you would never, ever know. From a rooftop water tank in a city of millions to a hidden closet in a quiet suburban home, these stories remind us that the greatest and most terrifying mysteries are not always far away in some distant forgotten place. Sometimes, they are right above us, or just behind the door. Which story unsettled you the most? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want to see more unbelievable true stories, make sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.